Hello and welcome to our inaugural podcast of the average everyday plight, problems, and politics of a 20-something heterosexual man in the Midwest. I am your host, Brandon Anderson, here with my producer and co-host, Ryan Dunn. How are you tonight, Ryan?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Yeah, I've been doing just fine. I just got done with my nightly Mario Kart session, and I'm feeling alive right now. I've beaten my ghost 3 times now tonight, and really, I can't ask for anything more. And now I'm here with you. What can I even say?
Fantastic. Give me a river and a valley today.
I assume that means high and low.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if the river is the high or the low or the valley.
I was gonna say a river is in a valley, which signifies both lows. But I'll roll with it. The river, which is the high, was I got to work a half day today. So I left work at about noon, and I got to talk to my college advisor. It was fantastic. And a low was I ordered Domino's pizza, and I hate myself right now because of that. It's I don't know why I do this. Every time I go eat a pizza at whether it be Little Caesars or whether it be Domino's, I always end up hating myself afterwards. I never learn. So I'm currently in that situation with my body, but overall my mood is up today, I have to say.
Even after this weekend.
This weekend was
for those of you who don't know, it is September 24th right now.
September 24th, 2018. We should be bringing that up. That should be one of the first things we say in the podcast is when we're recording it, which is September 24th, 2018 at exactly 8:06 p.m. Central Standard Time. And
a day following a disappointing performance from our home city, Minnesota Vikings.
The Vikings, yeah, it was a sad game. I had to turn off halftime. It really, quite literally, was not worth my time watching. We were, I believe, 17-point favorites or 16.5-point favorites over the Bills, and they covered that spread in the first quarter. That is about as depressing as it gets for a team like the Vikings.
It was one of the bigger upsets in Vegas, if not the biggest upset in football.
In history. In football history, in all of betting history. So, yeah, I mean, there's really nothing to say besides the offense looked like complete. Is this a PG-13 podcast? Or
say whatever.
All right. The offense was shit, and the defense really didn't do us any favors as well. Of course, you had that highlight play of Josh Allen, the 6'7", inflatable arm flailing tube man jumping over our 6'5" linebacker Anthony Barr, which was about as embarrassing as it gets for a linebacker. And that really, if there was a play I could show to describe that game to a person who didn't watch, I would show them that play and I'd let them judge beyond that. But yeah, very lackluster performance.
It was so hard to watch, and I believe it was Riley Reef, the Vikings left tackle. That dude just got worked the entire day.
Did he? Really? We had a few injuries. Rashad Hill got injured halfway through. I don't know if he came back or not. That's on the other side of the line.
Tackle.
Yeah, he's the other side of the line. That was sad. There was quite a ton of miscues, especially on that first drive that Buffalo was having. We were going to get them in a 3-and-out position, and you have, what's the guy's name? Linval Joseph. He committed a roughing the passer penalty on 3rd and 10 after an incompletion, gave him a first down, and then they kind of steamrolled past that. So
we'll get into some rushing or some roughing the passer stuff here.
Oh yeah, there's plenty to go over with this dumbass new rule that was implemented this year. But but I will note that was the complete correct call. He really rocked Josh Allen when he did hit him. So I'm totally okay with. I'm totally okay with that.
What are your thoughts on? Do you think that Buffalo has been an underrated team, or do you
No.
think this is just one of those weeks in the NFL that's just complete?
You know what they say. Any given Sunday, any team could beat any other team. So
Any given Sunday, but this is a crazy upset.
Right. And I understand that. I'm not convinced Buffalo's good. I don't care that they beat us at home by that much, and I really don't. We need a bigger sample size, right? I'm not one for hot takes. I'm not here to say the Vikings season is over because of this, or Buffalo is a sleeper playoff team because of this. Because everything I've seen up to this point has pointed in the exact opposite directions of those two statements. Like, I mean, did you watch the Baltimore and Buffalo game, week 1? Buffalo just got steamrolled by a frankly lackluster Baltimore offense. And the next week, Buffalo really did poorly against the Clippers. God, I keep calling them the Clippers because they're in LA now. The Chargers. But they ended up coming back a little bit at the end, but they still kind of got shut out in the first half. And, I mean, yeah, I feel like this week was just an anomaly, to be honest. I mean...
Keep in mind, Buffalo Bills right now have the 5th-ranked rushing defense. And they were able to completely shut down Minnesota. Well, keep in mind, Minnesota has the worst running game in the NFL right now. That
really doesn't surprise me. Dalvin Cook has been more effective in the passing game than the running game this year.
He's not playing.
Well, yeah, he didn't even play yesterday. So, of course, when we have Latavius Murray in our backfield, it's going to be a little bit less productive. And not to mention also our offensive line is generally poor at run blocking. We have a generally poor offensive line overall, but...
arguably the worst in the North right now.
In the North. I'm going to agree with you on that. I'm definitely going to agree with you on that. I know the Packers have a really good O-line, or it's either they have a good O-line or Rodgers makes them look good. I can't tell.
They give Rodgers statistically holds onto the ball longer than any other active quarterback in the NFL right now.
Well,
and that's because of the offensive line.
He's also so damn good at scrambling,
yeah,
to the point where he can make just any play work if he's outside the pocket. It's really, if I didn't hate that fucking guy so much, I would be in awe of watching him. Like, I'm sure when I'm like older and he's retired, I'm gonna look back and on watching him and be like, wow, that guy was just seriously one of a kind. He just boned us every week that we played them.
Do you think that he is worth that $100 million guaranteed contract that he got at the beginning of the year?
He is the most worthy player of that contract out of anyone in the NFL, by far.
Do you think NFL players? This seems to be the direction that NFL is going, is these guaranteed contracts. Do you think that's a good decision, or should the Packers held off, saved that money, and gone after a guy like Khalil Mack?
When it comes to football, I'm more inclined to say it is a good idea to have these guaranteed contracts for the players specifically. Sorry about that. For the players specifically, it's a good idea. Mainly because football, the lifespan of a football player is so much shorter than in any other sport. So having that guaranteed money, I don't know, it's not a rookie deal. You can't get guaranteed money on your rookie deal, can you? Do we know this? I don't really know. But regardless, getting that guaranteed money with such a short lifespan of a career is really good for a player if you're looking for financial security.
So does it make you nervous at all when you see Kirk Cousins get all this money? Especially as a Vikings fan, when you have seen quarterbacks go down. In your entire existence as a Vikings fan,
yes,
you've seen nothing but injured quarterbacks.
Yeah, we go through quarterbacks like dirty underwear, but
that's all guaranteed money going away.
It is, right? And it's obviously a risk, right? If you're gonna sign someone for that much money, one player gets what do you get? 90 million? How much money did
Rodgers got 100?
Rodgers got 100. How much did Kirk get? Like 80
86.
or 90? 86? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you sink that much money into a single player...
Oh, it might have been 83. Let me double check.
Regardless, when you sink that amount of guaranteed money into a single player, it's an inherent risk. But with the trend and, dare I say, meta of the NFL today, it's so quarterback central that you really can't win without at least an above average one. So when you see an above average quarterback like Kirk Cousins hit the market, you spend that top dollar to grab that, because he has shown time in and time out that he is A, durable, and B, consistent, which is something that I'm sure any Vikings fan would kill for in a quarterback, considering our history with them. So yeah, it's risky, but at the same time, you gotta make these kind of moves when you're an NFL franchise. Like, you don't want to make these kind of conservative moves where you just kind of let the other teams grow while you make these mid-tier signings, you know? I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously no experts on the finances of this, or maybe even teams in general, but in my opinion, especially with the trends of the leagues going, the trend the league is going in, quarterbacks are becoming even more and more and more important as the years go on. So I think it's totally okay.
So
personally.
moving left to right here, what do you think the Vikings' issue is right now? Is it the running game? Is it the defense basically letting these tight ends run amok? What's going on?
So the last few games I've watched, honestly, our defense has got some holes in it, man. I don't know what is going on, but beyond the first half of that 49ers game, the defense was just laying by these points that they really shouldn't have. Blown coverages all over the place. Missed tackles in the backfield, which is really rare considering we got Harrison Smith, one of the best tacklers in the league, in our backfield. Like that you were with me in that when we watched that Packer-Viking monstrosity of a game. Man, the Vikings just looked like shit for the first half, right? The defense was getting picked apart by Rodgers the entire day. We could only come back by the miracle work of our offense and Kirk Cousins, another reason why you pay him. And then you move on to this week, where we get torn apart by arguably one of the worst teams in the league and a rookie quarterback. It's like, yeah, our offense has not been living up to expectation either, but like our defense has been like consistently worse than our standard.
So
and
do you think being 31st in the league for running at the moment is any concern?
It's definitely of some concern, but I'm not overly concerned about it.
Here's my take too: is right now they were 31st, but they had Delvin Cook the first game, who I believe ran for quite a few yards. I think he had over 100 total between receiving and running.
Yeah, it's both running and receiving. He only had like 30 yards rushing that game, but the rest were receiving, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he caught quite a few. I think he had more.
Yeah,
definitely. So that being said, without Delvin Cook, I think that they're probably the worst running football team, which is not Minnesota football.
This is true, but I really, to be honest, I really hate that term. Like, that's not Minnesota football, or that's not like Chicago or Patriots football. I don't know what that means. Like, yeah, they may have like built a team around that previously, but it's an ever changing league. You can't be stagnant on some sort of relic of the past, like a good running game. Just because we had Adrian Pearson, I would call running a strong running game Minnesota football. In fact, I'd argue that a good receiving game is Minnesota football, with our luck with wide receivers over the years. I think we've had Harvin Rice. You look all the way back to Moss, and you also look back at Carter, and you can go even farther back into the Purple People Eaters era, where our running game was not as strong as our passing game. So it's definitely a change from what the Vikings had from like 2007 to 2014, which was basically our offensive plan was run, pass with AP both times, and sometimes he'll run 80 yards for a touchdown. Yeah. So I'm not worried just because Diggs and Thielen are so fucking good. What I am more worried about is the fact I'm much more worried that our defense is showing huge weaknesses this early on. So
Le'Veon Bell is on the trading block.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh wants that guy gone.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, they do.
Do you go after Le'Veon Bell?
As the Vikings?
Look, Delvin Cook's good. the guy's body composition is equal to like the molecular like breakdown of peanut brittle. The guy can't stay healthy.
Okay, well, that may be true, but on what planet do you think we afford Le'Veon Bell?
Oh, you think Le'Veon Bell will take a pay cut to leave Pittsburgh?
Oh, please. God, no. He wants... The whole reason he's holding out is so he can get a big fat guaranteed he can get a big fat guaranteed contract. We have... what's our cap space situation right now? We have to have none. We have to have literally none right now.
So you don't think he would take a pay cut to come to Minnesota?
Considering that... Oh, God, no.
Cousins took a pay cut to come to Minnesota. Jets offered him $90 million guaranteed.
That's true. It's true, right? And we're kind of a hot button free agency area right now. But at the same time, Le'Veon Bell has been... I mean, the Steelers are have been in contention for like a Super Bowl too, right? They've also been really good for the past like 3 years, and he's still upset and still has been franchise tagged year after year because he's demanding so much money. And that's not going to change regardless of where he wants to go. He's still going to want that guaranteed contract. He wants to become the highest paid running back in the league, and we really can't do that. As much as I would love to sign Le'Veon Bell, I do not see the Vikings pulling the trigger. I really don't. The team I see picking up Le'Veon Bell the most is actually the Jets, just because of how much cap space they have and how much they would love a running back like him. So, I don't know. I definitely don't see the Vikings picking him up, that's for sure. I don't know who would. My money's on the Jets, but I definitely don't see the Vikings picking him up.
So that kind of brings me to the next point, is over to the AFC side. I want to hear you who, at this point, so we're at Game 3. Next week, we will be a quarter of the way through the season.
That's freaking insane.
Who do you see, taking the spots in each division? Who do you see taking the wild card? Who are your busts? Who are your sleepers? Let's start with the AFC North. Who do you have in that division?
Okay, so my preseason predictions that I had Pittsburgh taking that division. I don't agree with that prediction anymore. I think the Bengals take that division pretty handedly too. I've been very impressed with, and I said this before the season too, that I think the Bengals are going to be a surprise sleeper pick this year. They are being hugely slept on with their D line. It's freaking amazing. Andy Dalton is as good of a quarterback as they need him to be. They've got AJ Green, they got Tyler Eifert, they got the guy in the backfield, I can't remember his fucking name, but overall their team is great. The talent.
Green got hurt. He's done.
Green got hurt?
Yep.
Oh shit. Okay.
So you're taking them over the Ravens, who right now have the second highest point differential in the league, right behind the Rams.
I don't buy the Ravens. I really don't. Their passing game is too weak. You need a good passing game nowadays.
Not a fan of Flacco.
Oh God, no! I have no faith in Flacco.
That's a hot take. Okay. He did not have a great season last year.
I understand that. But I am very on the Cincinnati train right now. I think they take that division. And they already have a 1-0 division lead over Baltimore. Like, they already beat them week 2. So they got a great head start, and I think they ride that. And honestly, I was really bummed they lost to Carolina this week. But they're at Atlanta next week. That might be a decently tough game. Atlanta seems to be crawling back into contention. Regardless,
they blew it this week, didn't they?
They were never really ahead. They kind of were down really. They were down early to Carolina, and they could never really recover. It was like 28-7 sometime, and it ended up being like 31-17 to end the game or something like that.
So I have Baltimore taking the division.
Okay.
Just because I think Flacco's a talented quarterback, and I think their defense right now in the league is one of the better defenses.
Yep.
They have the best defense in the league right now.
Well, to be fair, that's a very lopsided statistic. They played Buffalo in the first game and it completely routed them. And that really probably boosted their stats quite a bit past to where they're actually at. I I think that Baltimore loses at Pittsburgh next week. Well, actually, hold on. You know what? Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna look up the score of the
what's Pittsburgh
game
right now?
the game that's going on currently, which is Tampa Bay Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Tampa Bay, which might be one of the better teams. It looks like they are one of the better teams right now.
Well, they are currently losing to the Steelers 16-7 with 6:41 left in the second. But they have been looking on fire lately.
Deshaun Jackson, that man looks like he still has a ton of football left in him.
Well, he's playing with like the perfect quarterback for him. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the kind of guy that you will see to air it out at his age, basically. Jameis Winston was never good at the deep ball. Never. He was always a kind of check down, maybe you'll see a 20-yard dime from him every now and then. He never had a deep ball. Ryan Fitzpatrick, we know, can sling. We've seen it in his Jets days. We've seen it in his Rams days. We've seen it in his Bills days. And you're seeing it now. And now Deshaun Jackson's specialty is the deep ball. That's like a match made in heaven. I'm not going to say I saw this coming, because who the fuck saw them starting 2-0? No one did. That was an amazing game to watch week 1 and week 2. But yeah, no, it's in hindsight, it's a great combo, Ryan Fitzpatrick to Deshaun Jackson. But we kind of strayed away from the AFC North. What I have it playing out, I have Cleveland bringing up the rear, which I get it. They look kind of fun right now, but I think they're worse than every other team in that division. I have Steelers coming third, Baltimore second, Cincy first in that division. I think Cincy makes some noise this year.
Who do you have in the AFC South?
AFC South, I have Jacksonville. I predicted Jacksonville in the beginning of the year, and I'm going to stick with that. Every other team has been unimpressive to me. I mean, Tennessee has been looking good these last 2 weeks, but they have a decent amount of injuries, which may catch up to them, but they also may not. It's going to come down between those two teams. Every other team, I'm especially not high on. I'm a little embarrassed to say I had Houston going 10-6 this year, and they're currently really disappointing me with
I think Houston's definitely a bust.
Terrible.
Deshaun Watson, he played pretty bad the first week. The past 2 weeks, he hasn't played too terribly.
I have not watched any Houston football. I mean, what's failing them right now?
The biggest highlight on their defense is they're still talking about how J.J. Watt spent all that money and saved all the hurricane relief efforts. That's their highlight.
That doesn't win you football games.
That was a year ago.
Yeah, and I heard this stupid stat the other day that J.J. Watt hasn't recorded a sack in 2 years since 2016.
Yeah. Because
he's been injured for so long. It's a shame. This dude has the most talent you'll ever see in a defensive player, and it's just getting wasted by a ton of injuries on his part. It's sad.
So who do we have in the AFC East?
AFC East, we have the Dolphins currently 3-0. But
I think he's a bust team.
You don't like him? You're not convinced?
No. Did you watch their game on Thursday?
Thursday?
I'm pretty sure they played Thursday.
You're thinking
the Raiders.
No, you're thinking of the Jets. They played Sunday against the Raiders. The Jets played Thursday and lost to Cleveland, which I will be the first to admit I was pretty high on the Jets this year. I had them going 7-9 for second in the division, but I am not really convinced by them anymore. Miami, if there's a team to unseed New England, it's going to be them in that division. But you're right. At this point you cannot bet against Belichick and Brady. It's been rehashed every single year. But I mean, until they lose, I have no reason to say they might struggle winning this division. I mean, yeah, they're 1-2 and they just lost to Detroit, who I think is a terrible team. But yeah, no, let's look at their schedule coming up. Yeah. Miami. Well, this is the big game next week. They're playing Miami. So if Miami wins that game, I might have to consider something, because that would put
Yeah.
Miami at 4-0 and New England at 1-3.
So here's it. They have New England, Cincinnati, Chicago. Chicago's defense is crazy.
Terrifying.
Khalil Mack is
Terrifying.
putting that entire team on his back. Chicago's defense, probably the best in the North that we've seen right now.
Yeah,
Detroit,
easy.
On the other hand, Detroit just gave New England a run for their money today. Their
Oh,
pass defense,
they killed it.
they have the best pass defense in the league right now.
Yeah,
Once again,
Matt
after 2
Patricia, knew Belichick's tricks and used it against him pretty darn well. I have to say I was pretty happy watching that game. It was a little bit cathartic watching New England actually lose that badly to a team I thought was terrible. It just sucks it had to be Detroit, which I don't really like Detroit too much.
I think you should really go and watch their game. Honestly, I don't think Oakland is that bad. I think Oakland is a really put together team that just can't win. I think the first quarter or the first scoring opportunity that they had, it was 4th and 1 in the first quarter, and Gruden called a pass play, I believe, when they had Marshawn Lynch, and they could have kicked the field goal, and I think it was a terrible call, and it set the pace for the entire game, even though Oakland took a pretty early lead. Marshawn Lynch, fun fact, what year did you know what Marshawn Lynch, what year he got drafted in?
Was it 06 or 08?
Same year as Adrian Peterson.
It was 07, okay.
Marshawn Lynch is playing, I think, just as well as he ever has. The guy is still. Go watch the game. It's pretty fun.
I haven't watched any Raiders games, but fun fact, I predicted I predicted them preseason to be the worst team in the league this year. I had them going.
I don't know how you could do that.
Well, funny thing is, I even said that before the Khalil Mack trade. I said that they would go 2-14 with
Their
Khalil
offense
Mack.
is stacked. Derek Carr, Amari Cooper, Marshawn Lynch, Jordy Nelson.
Right.
Nelson had a huge game.
And I understand that it's on paper there, but I've never seen a so out of touch coach than John Gruden.
I think he was the reason why they lost this game. Just maybe not the sole reason, but he definitely did not help with that early call. I think Miami should have lost this week. Miami's offense also, they ran all these crazy like jet sweeps. They had a couple plays where like 3 people touched the ball before they even threw it. Just some odd trick plays. It kind of reminded me. Do you remember that? Like, oh man, it was maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when they played New England and they busted out the Wildcat offense.
No, hold up. That was 2008 with Tony Sperano, and he ran Wildcat all year, and he ended up winning the division.
Yeah, well, he pulled it out against New England. It was like it was like week 3. It was after their undefeated season.
Yeah.
And it was a huge thing. It's same kind of deal, same like trick plays.
So something that's just not sustainable, basically.
I think that teams are going to catch on and stay, and I think it kind of exposed Oakland's defense, and they weren't able to stay home and cover some of these tricky things. You're going to go against New England this week. You can bet Bill Belichick is going to stop whatever they pull. Cincinnati's a good team. Chicago's a good team. Detroit's a good game. They might take a game off Houston, maybe off the Jets, but then you're going to Green Bay, Indianapolis, Buffalo. I think Buffalo is better than what their record shows. New England, Minnesota, which is still a great team, Jacksonville, and Buffalo again. Maybe take 2 games off Buffalo, Houston, maybe 1 off the Jets. That's 4 wins. I don't see this team going better than 9-7.
Seriously, okay. Are we? Well, let me ask you this. Well, we'll get to that. I'm definitely impressed with what Miami's doing right now. I did not. I had them starting 1-2 with their lone win against Oakland. I did not have them winning all 3 of those games. So I'm surprised that they're doing this good, but I would love to see this next game, man. I think Miami at New England is gonna be a fun game to watch. So that's to wrap it up. I'm gonna say that New England wins that division, just like they always do. Buffalo brings up the rear, the Jets, and then Miami. That's why I think the standings are going to look like at the end of the year for the AFC East.
All right, final division, AFC West. I think it's pretty obvious who we're picking here.
Oh my God, Kansas City looks so good. It's ridiculous.
Who are your 2 wild cards then?
2 wild cards?
Who do you think? Maybe give me 1 wild card, and what's your sleeper pick that might surprise us coming out at the end of the season?
Yeah, I can answer that right now. Well, the wild card, one of the locks I think for the wild card, it's going to be Baltimore. Okay. Baltimore is going to be one of the wild card teams.
Yep.
And if I had to pick a sleeper pick, I have 2 teams actually I want to pick. The first is going to be Tennessee. I think Tennessee was plagued by terrible coaching last year, and they could have been so much better.
They won a playoff game.
That's what I'm saying. They could have been way better if they had anywhere near a competent head coach last year.
Well, actually, no, they lost, I think, against Buffalo.
What? Sorry?
I don't think they made the playoffs. I don't think they won. I think they lost against Buffalo.
No, they won. The Titans beat Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus Mariota just led this ridiculous comeback.
Yep.
That I think the Titans have a really freaking good roster. And with the correct coaching, I really think they can do some damage.
Who's your other sleeper?
Denver.
That was mine too.
Denver is I'm honestly I have troubles picking against them this year. I had them going 10-6 preseason. I really like what I've seen so far. I expected this loss to Baltimore, and I expect them to lose to KC. But their schedule is kind of a cakewalk, dude. It's pretty freaking easy.
Raiders for 4 games.
Yeah.
They might take a game off the Chiefs.
I bet they do, because they still got to play in Denver, and that's one of the hardest places to play in the freaking U.S.
Keenum, if anything, is consistent.
Case Keenum, all he does... Honestly, I'm not impressed too much with their offense, but if Keenum played at all like he did last year, he can do something. Seriously, I'm impressed. Their defense is as good as ever. Yeah, I really think they can surprise a lot of people and go and probably win 10 games this year. No joke.
Moving left to right, NFC East.
NFC East. That division. I have well. First of all, the Giants suck. I'm putting them at the bottom. Their offensive line is a train wreck. Eli Manning's old. Odell Beckham is like he's the only bright spot on that team, and Saquon Barkley too. Yeah. But that's pretty much it. I think they're a trash team. But I honestly think Dallas is not that far ahead of the Giants. I have not been impressed with Dak Prescott ever since he's been playing. I think Dak Prescott, the only reason he led that Dallas team to 13-3 was because of his O-line and Ezekiel Elliott. That was not his doing. If Tony Romo was their quarterback right now, I'd feel a lot better. I think Tony Romo was one of the most underrated quarterbacks ever.
You think Tony Romo is an underrated quarterback?
I think a lot of people give him a lot of unnecessary hate that he doesn't deserve.
The man didn't win a single playoff game in his entire career.
No thanks to his team. I think he did exactly what he needed to do as a quarterback, and
he had so many weapons. Jason Witten.
Yeah.
He had Terrell Owens. He had that number 11 receiver that was really
Bryant?
good.
Des Bryant?
Des Bryant. That's not who I'm thinking of, but he did have Bryant. He came from the line. I'm not going to think of it. They had, multiple running backs that were,
like DeMarco Murray and the
DeMarco Murray, Marion Barber.
Marion Barber. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. All right. I think he got a lot of. I understand what you're saying. He should have done better, but I still think he was given a lot of hate that I feel was semi unwarranted. I understand what you're saying. It's just Dak Prescott's looked freaking terrible. He cannot throw at all. He rode Ezekiel Elliott so hard that first year they totally forgot how to pass. It's kind of sad, honestly, because
who are you taking that division then?
The division, I'm going with the Eagles. I'm gonna go with the Eagles. The Redskins, they looked good against Green Bay, and they looked good against the Cardinals, which is nothing to really be impressed about. But
Cardinals
are really bad. But they lost to a Colts team, which I'm not really sold on either. So I really don't know how to rate them. I don't know how to rate the Redskins. It's just the Eagles are just a safe pick, so I'm honestly just gonna go with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Moving on north. What do you got?
North, I'm sticking with the
Vikings.
I'm sticking with the Vikings. The talent that roster is way too talented, and our coach is way too good for us to not win that division, and it'd be a huge failure of the season if we didn't. But
it's a tough division.
It's a tough division. It's as long as Aaron Rodgers is in that division, it's going to be a tough out. And
did you watch this Lions game at all?
I haven't watched any Lions games at all this year.
Oh God, they're running back Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, Kerryon, my wayward son. That guy, pretty good, man.
Is that your fantasy football name?
No, but I think it's gonna be. I picked him. I'm trying to pick him off waivers right now.
Mm-hmm.
If I get him, I'm gonna change my name to Kerryon, my wayward son.
He looked good, huh?
I mean, first time a running back has rushed for more than 100 yards since 2013, almost 5 years.
I don't understand how that's possible. For a football team,
go watch.
It's like
the
70 games. Oh man,
the crowd erupts as soon as he hits 100 yards.
I can't imagine. He's a king in Detroit right now. But I mean that was a fun win, right? To beat the Patriots of all people. But man, did they look bad those first 2 weeks. I watched some highlights of that game, of those previous games, and well, actually, I did. Never mind. I scratched that. I did watch a Lions game. It was when they played the Jets, and they got completely stomped by them. And I don't think the Jets are good at all. That was a terrible game. I'd like to think that was kind of like the Vikings-Bills game kind of hiccup. Yeah. But holy crap, Matt Stafford could not get it going that game.
Yeah, and he's an off day.
And the 49ers game, they got behind really early, and then they made a valiant effort trying to come back, but it was too big of a lead to overcome. So I'm kind of iffy on them too. I had them doing really well this year, but I just I need some more sample sizes. I think they beat Dallas next week, and I think they lose to Green Bay the week after, and that would sit them at 2-3, and so they might be a middle of the pack team. I'll tell you what team I am sold on in the North, though. It's the Bears. That defense. That defense is. I knew Khalil Mack was good. I knew he was good. I didn't know he was this good. Like that guy. He's involved in every play on defense. I've straight up never seen a more dominant player in the first 3 weeks of a season ever like this. It blew my mind watching that Packer game in the first half. He was ridiculous.
Well, they have the number 5 defense in the league right now, which it's only been 3 games, but 2 of those games were Packers Seattle.
We can get to Seattle, but I don't think they're good.
Did you watch their game this weekend?
Against what was it, Denver? No, it was against Baltimore. They lost. Or wait,
Seahawks?
What the fuck am I talking? What the fuck am I talking about? Hold on. Who are they playing? Well, they played Dallas. That's not impressive. I think Dallas sucks. So, yeah, the verdict's up on. I expected them to win that Seattle game. I'm thoroughly unimpressed with Seattle this year. But yeah, man, they've looked good. I mean, I get it. They lost to the Packers and they beat the Seahawks and Cardinals, but man, that defense is good still.
Moving on, we got to keep moving. So we have the Vikings.
Vikings, like I said, I think they come away with the division. Well, we got really, really, really tough game this Thursday, probably the toughest of the year against the Rams. I think they lose that game. It's coming off of a bad loss, short week at LA. It's like a recipe for a loss. But hey, any given Sunday might happen. I personally think the Vikings beat Philly, beat Arizona, beat the Jets, lose to New Orleans, beat Detroit. I could go on, but I think they win. I think they win the division.
NFC South, we have the Bucks 2 wins, Saints 2 wins, Panthers 2 wins. Buccaneers maybe 3 at the end of the night.
Yeah, we'll see.
And it's still a competitive Falcon team.
Very tough division. Easily the best division in football, in my opinion. And you could make an argument for any team in that division to win it. I am not convinced. Watching, honestly, I don't think I really don't think the Saints are going to be that good. That Tampa Bay game was just depressing to watch. And the Browns game the next week, where they lose if their Browns kicker was competent, and then they take Atlanta to overtime, and they end up winning that game, which was a good win. But those first 2 games, you have to sit there and think what happened. Yeah. 2 teams that are supposedly bottom of the barrel, and they kind of really struggled with them. But I think the Panthers might pull away that division. I was very impressed with the Panthers, especially after it beat Cincinnati, who I am very high on. They got bye week next week, though. That's a really early bye week, so we'll see how that rolls. But their schedule's still pretty cake after that. I have the Panthers winning that division.
All right, I had the Buccaneers, but I think the Panthers. You make a good argument for the Panthers as well. I just think that Buccaneers team they're just getting rolling, and there's gonna be a lot of momentum carrying through the season. Did you watch that interview post game with Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, where he was wearing Deshaun Jackson's clothes. He was a baller, dude. He's straight up a baller. He had that quote where he's like, "Oh, we have to remember to be humble." That's number one thing. Dude, Fitzpatrick, best job in the league. Gets to be a backup quarterback and be the hero every now and then. And he's been paid for the last 14 years being an NFL player.
Yeah,
so
it's a fun team to watch right now, and I think that they're going to continue to do good things. What's the score right now?
Oh shit! I clicked out. It was 16-7. Let me just take a peek-a-poo here. 23-10 Steelers with a little bit left in the half. So it's looking like the Steelers might pull this one.
All right. Last in what could possibly be least, the NFC West.
Ooh, yeah. I'm not a fan of that division.
I think
Rams literally run the table in that division hard because they look like the best team in the league. I get it. They've played some pretty lackluster teams so far. They played Oakland, Arizona, and the Chargers. Not exactly the best teams in the league. They have themselves a pretty big challenge this week with the Vikings. And I get we just lost to the Buffalo of all teams, but we're still a good team. We're easily their hardest challenge so far this season. So we'll see how they react to an actual good team.
They are plus 66 points on the year. That is an average of 22 points outscoring their opponents so far.
Yeah, and they're kind of showing that all-in mentality they're having this year is paying off really hard right now.
Their defense has allowed the least amount of points in the league at 36.
That's insane.
Now, yardage, they are giving up some yards in comparison to other teams. But when it comes down to points allowed, best defense in the league, best offense in the league. I think we're looking at the greatest show on turf part 2.
We'll see about that. I want to watch their games against the Eagles, against Minnesota, against Green Bay, against New Orleans, and against was that all of them? Yeah, all those teams. I want to watch them against all those teams, and then I'll kind of crown them. But they really do look unstoppable. They got that bend don't break defense, which is what made Bill Belichick famous. So they destroy that division. Every other team, especially with the 49ers losing Garoppolo for the year, they're Seattle sucks. San Francisco now sucks, and the Cardinals are obviously trashed here. So yeah, though that's the easiest division to pick on the planet. So
So here we go. Who do we have a lock? One lock for the wild card, and then give me a sleeper.
One lock for the wild card. It's hard to say right now, but it's gonna one. It's I want to call it a lock because it's one of two teams, Minnesota or Green Bay. One of those teams are going to be in the wild card, and I can guarantee that. So I don't know which one it's going to be so far though. The sleeper. I'm going to stick with the NFC North, and I'm going to say the Bears are a big sleeper this year. It's a team that no one had on their radar before season. They're on their radar now. I do think it's a tough. I personally don't think 3 teams from the NFC North make the playoffs, especially with the NFC South how it is. But the wild card's not coming out of the South or the West, and it's not coming out of the East. So it's either the South or the North. The South and the North get the wild card spots. I just don't know. It's hard to say what teams, but I'm gonna have to go with the Bears as the sleeper.
Yeah, I 100% agree. There's one team from the West that makes it. It's the Rams. There's one team from the East that makes it. It's the Eagles.
Yep.
Maybe Redskins, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
When you're competing with, the best defense in the league with the Bears, and arguably, one of the better pass defenses in the league with the Lions, and maybe just like their pass rush with the amount of pressure that they were able to bring on Brady.
Yeah.
I think the North is a fantastic division. I could see 3 playoff teams coming from the North. I could see 3 playoff teams coming from the South.
Yep. I would be willing to put money down that the wild card teams are from the North or the South. I'm
going to give a definitive statement here. Vikings take the North. Wild card goes to the Pack. From the South, I think the division goes to the Buccaneers. Give the wild card to the Saints. Yeah.
You have the Saints in the wild card, you said?
Saints in the wild card.
And the division to the Panthers?
The Bucs.
Is that way? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. You're high on them. I'm gonna wait a few weeks to be sold on the Bucs. So we'll see what happens. But I do like those predictions overall. Really nice. So I'm looking at this itinerary and I'm seeing college football. There's personally, in my opinion, I don't really have much to talk about with the U of M. I've actually, fun fact, watched every single U of M game this year, and I was really excited for the first 3 weeks. And then we just got completely shit on by Maryland this week, so I'm officially uninterested in U of M football once again. But Wisconsin, they're going to be a top 4 team this year.
Yeah,
so,
there goes the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, maybe not because of the loss to BYU. They've lost to the goddamn Mormons, dude. I don't know how that happens, but whatever.
All right. We're going to transition here. We're going to switch gears here.
All right. Talked about sports long enough.
Yeah, no. So now we're
hook me up with some new
meat
topics.
Potatoes here.
Hell yeah.
So this whole idea kind of stemmed from this project that we did 5 years ago called Raider Chat.
Yep.
And we had one episode that we were kind of looking back on. It was the day
Flopped.
after the election.
Terrible.
When Barack Obama won the election. And I asked Brandon here what he thought about Barack Obama. And do you remember what you said?
You sent me a very small clip over Snapchat. And I think I remember. I think I said, I wasn't happy that Barack Obama got a second term. And you asked me why, and I said, Obamacare, I don't know. and I think I told you, I was like, is there a more American thing than what I just said in that podcast.
That was 5 years ago, so hopefully you know a little bit more about what's going on in the world.
Yeah, no, I was completely ignorant to anything politics related. In fact, I'm actually super interested to listen to that podcast, so if you could send it to me sometime, that'd be great. But yeah, God, I'm definitely, looking back on it, I'm happy that Obama got the second term. I have no freaking idea what I was thinking when I said that. I think I just wanted to change. I wanted to switch it up. That's literally it.
Well, you have it now.
Yeah, I have it now. Yeah, we're cooking with peanut oil right now.
All right, so we're gonna start it off. So we are from Wisconsin, so this is going to be dealing mostly with an upcoming Wisconsin election, November 4th. If you're in Wisconsin, go out and vote. But we're going to ask.
Are you registered to vote, Ryan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, good. That's you.
Right.
Would you be unqualified if you weren't right now?
Unqualified to ask you these questions?
Asking for a friend.
No.
I am not qualified to vote. Is what I'm trying to say.
When's the last time you voted?
2016 election.
Yeah, it's easy. It takes like 2 minutes to get verified. You're okay.
What?
So, coming up in our election right now, we have one candidate named Tammy Baldwin. Brandon, tell me who Tammy Baldwin is.
Tammy Baldwin is a lesbian who is in the Senate seat, and I've heard mixed bag reviews about her. And
tell me one good thing that Tammy Baldwin has done. Tell me one bad. Give me a river and a valley.
Is it? I'm very uneducated when it comes to Tammy Baldwin. I am not gonna lie at all.
Give me some. Just guess on something. Give me a guess. Give me one political ad you've heard.
Oh my gosh, I've seen so many bash ads on Leah Vukmir, who she's running against.
Yeah.
God, it's like every other ad I see on YouTube is just like Leah Vukmir eats babies and then shits on the Bible at night, and Tammy Baldwin plants trees and shit like that.
What did Tammy Baldwin do before she was a senator?
Why is this a quiz show now?
No,
are you trying to grill me? You trying to grill me right now? I straight up don't know anything about Tammy Baldwin, and I'm frankly quite embarrassed right now.
Okay. No, who's she running against?
Leah Vukmir. I knew that.
And as we already stated, Vukmir is famous for eating babies. That's kind of her claim to fame.
I really don't. I cannot vouch for the validity of that statement. I simply heard it in a attack ad.
Yeah, the only thing I've heard from Vukmir is bad things. So who knows?
Oh yeah.
If you look at the standings, it's almost never that an incumbent as popular as Tammy Baldwin is doesn't re-win her election.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at that.
She has a 11-point lead right now.
I'm on that website you linked, the Real Clear Politics website, and it seems like she's kind of got it in the bag currently. She's winning in every major district, so she's winning the important districts, it looks like, where she should be winning. Wait. Oh god. Okay, never mind. I was trying to figure out the color schemes, but but no, freaking Democrats always blue and Republicans always red. That's right. Okay.
So, who are the two people running for our governor?
That is Scott Walker and Tony Evers, which I was informed of about 5 minutes before the podcast.
Okay, so you're a big Tony Evers guy.
Yeah. Well, I did some light reading on Tony Evers, and he's big into education. He thinks children are the future, quite literally. In fact, when you go to his website, the first thing you see is his slogan, which says, hold on, I am pulling it up. It says, "I'm running for governor because I believe what's best for our kids is what's best for our state." That is literally the first thing you see when you pull up his website. So, from what I gather, though, he's a very pro-education, pro-schooling system kind of guy. and I assume he's Democrat because Scott Walker is a Republican. I don't know if that's a safe assumption to make or not, but yeah.
So tell me what do you know about Scott Walker?
Scott Walker, he's been our governor for what, decade now, something like that. It's been a long time since he's held the position, or he's been holding the position for a long time. And the one defining thing I can think of about Paul Walker, Scott Walker,
rest in peace.
Gone way too soon. Too soon. Too fast, too furious. Oh my god. Is remember in 8th grade when all our teachers went on strike because he slashed
government
unions, yeah.
Government unions
to
or
be
collective
specific.
bargaining rights for government.
Yeah, our teachers in middle school were so pissed that we didn't get to go to school one day because of it. So that was the defining moment of Scott Walker in my life, specifically. Traditionally and historically, I have been against him, but I haven't put too much thought into why, which kind of makes me seem like an uneducated voter, which, if I can be completely honest, I may as well be. But me and you actually had a conversation maybe a month or two ago about him and how you were actually fighting for Scott Walker and what he's done in the state. Do you care to like explain what you told me? Do you remember that conversation?
I think I was just kind of playing devil's advocate. I mean, I don't really.
Oh. Yeah, well, like you said, like you said he did the best he could have done in his situation when he held office. You know.
I mean, I don't think that he wants what's worse for Wisconsin. I think that he, like, deep down wants Wisconsin to be a better place, and he has an idea of how to do it. His ideas might not always be, the most popular or even the right ideas, but I don't think that he is malicious. Fun fact, actually, I am further along in my college career than we both are further along in a college career than Scott Walker.
Is that right? Did you like drop out?
Yeah, he dropped out his junior year of college.
Oh, cool.
At which Wisconsin university?
Ooh, knowing Scott Walker is a rich preppy boy, it's either Madison or Marquette.
Bingo.
Which one was it?
River Falls.
I don't believe that.
No, it's Marquette.
It would be plastered all over our campus if it was.
Scott Walker dropped out of our school. Come here.
He hated it so fucking much.
He
couldn't stand it. God.
Come join the ranks. You too can drop out and become governor.
Moo you. Moo.
So, 13 counties around Wisconsin are going to be putting on their ballot in some way, shape, or form, testing the waters of legalizing marijuana in Wisconsin. So this includes big counties such as Door County, Milwaukee, La Crosse, St. Croix, Eau Claire counties. So pretty influential.
Is Pierce County on there?
I am not sure.
God damn it, that's where I live. Whatever. But I cannot believe that, to be honest with you.
So basically, I think how it would work is if everyone voted yes, it wouldn't legalize marijuana in a state. So how Wisconsin politics actually work is when you look at states like Arizona or Oregon or Seattle in California for that matter.
Seattle's totally not a state.
No,
you uncultured fuck.
Washington.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
So in those states, basically how it works to get a law passed is you go out and you collect a certain amount of signatures, and then when you have those signatures, you can bring it, and then it's put on the ballot, and then the citizens themselves will go and they will vote for the law. Well, in Wisconsin, how it works is Congress, people have to basically go and put that bill forward. So us as citizens can't collectively come together, put something on a ballot, and vote for ourselves. We have to vote for a representative to go and do it for us. So basically, what this whole ballot will do is, if La Crosse County, 65% of people say legalize, well, guess what? The representative of La Crosse County is going to go to the House and basically say, yeah,
so
we should push this.
Let me ask you this then. So, with that knowledge in mind, do you think the reason why marijuana hasn't come up earlier is not necessarily because of the people in Wisconsin, but more so with the government?
I think it has to do, almost definitely has to do with money in Wisconsin politics, and that has to do with the liquor industry in Wisconsin politics. Wisconsin, fun fact. Maybe it's not a fun fact.
Yeah, I was going to say, how fun of a fact is this going to be?
So Wisconsin has, 49th ranked worst roads in the United States. We are 49th out of 50.
That makes way too much sense, actually.
So we are 49th out of 50. Do you know which state has the lowest percentage beer sales tax?
Utah. Wait, sales tax. Probably Wisconsin.
The lowest tax on beer. Where did you get Utah?
Well, okay, for some reason I thought you said lowest alcohol consumption. I was just like, oh, that's Utah. But I did not let you finish that sentence in my head. So I jumped to conclusions. So, yes,
So Wisconsin has the lowest sales tax on beer, but we also have some of the worst, roads in the entire state. But
yeah,
there has been one person, in, I think, I can't remember, in one of the two forms of legislators in Wisconsin, where they pushed forward to try to, raise the beer tax, and they were basically laughed out, because just like if any politician is on the record of raising a beer tax in Wisconsin, that's political suicide.
Yeah,
and
that's death sentence.
It's the same money of this liquor industry that they had in Wisconsin, where marijuana gets legalized. Guess what happens to beer sales?
They go down.
They go down, right? So why would these, you're talking to Anheuser-Busch's, you're talking to Miller's, go in and they pay these politicians, this money, and they say, hey, do not legalize marijuana in this state. I think Wisconsin, out of the 50 states, will probably be one of the last, until it is legalized or decriminalized on a national level. As long as it remains a states' rights issue, I don't think that Wisconsin will legalize anytime in the near future.
I agree with you on that. I always thought that Wisconsin was behind the curve on marijuana compared to every other state. I remember, so I don't know where I first heard this, but we're heavily considered the South of the North in terms of progressiveness in those kind of issues. I would say for every issue for example, Scott Walker is very anti-gay marriage. So that's not really a good thing to have on your record nowadays, depending on who you ask. But I do completely agree that it's gonna be like us in Mississippi fighting for the last states to legalize marijuana. I'll put money on that one.
Yeah. And even like the townies around here, not interested in legalization whatsoever.
In like La Crosse, or like just in general?
Yeah, in La Crosse, and I think you're gonna find that in almost any rural town. I can't imagine even our hometown.
Especially in La Crosse, drinking is so ingrained into the culture of that place where there's no point in even trying to, push forward this stoner culture. It's honestly, drinking is so ingrained in the culture here in the first place that it's going to be really hard to push that culture. You can push that in Minnesota all you want, because first of all, they're a lot more liberal, and second of all, they aren't as ingrained in alcohol as we are. But Wisconsin, it's going to take so much more effort, because you can't split us up from our alcohol. That's the one thing we have going for us, basically.
So when it comes to that vote, I think this will probably have to be our. We're closing out on time here. This will probably be the final question of the day.
All right.
What do you vote? Where do you stand on the issue? And why?
You know, I don't want to be a broken record and just say I support marijuana just for the financial growth, because honestly, that may or may not be an uneducated opinion. To be honest, I don't know what the economic impact of legalizing marijuana would be, and I don't know the cultural impact of what legalizing marijuana will be. And I haven't really studied how it's affected the states like California or Colorado or Washington or Massachusetts or all those other states that have legalized. So if I were to vote, I would just say yes. I think there's been many studies shown that that marijuana is definitely not as dangerous as alcohol, and at some point you have to sit here and be like, okay, why are we even making this illegal anyway? We're wasting a ton of money locking up people that are simple drug offenders of possession of marijuana, and they don't need to be in there. It's especially if that's their only charge. I mean, there's a lot of evidence pointing to the fact that it's kind of a waste of time to incarcerate these kind of people. But once again, this is coming from, if I can quote the title of our podcast, the average plight of a 20-something heterosexual man, and we should include ignorant into that title, because I truly don't know enough about this topic to give any semblance of an opinion. But with that being said, I am voting for marijuana.
Jesus Christ. It's like a one answer question.
Yeah, but I wanted to make sure it was interesting.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think that as this evolves and moves into the future, that we definitely should get more into these issues that we have no idea what the hell we're even talking about. Yeah,
because it's kind of hard to sit here and listen to someone like me say interject my politics onto someone when I frankly don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So more research is going to be necessary, and I will come with a more researched opinion closer to the vote date, that is for sure, and I will try and understand the politics behind it a lot more.
So something to tune in for next week. We do have some. I think next week we're probably going to cover just more like news stories around the world.
Yep.
What's happening?
We will definitely won't spend damn near an hour on football, since we kind of covered predictions and shit this week. So we can just kind of quickly recap the week 4 games and not go crazy with it. We can start to dive into other more interesting topics that might be of interest to people who hate sports, for example, right? So, but politics, especially this time of year, is a great thing to just keep hammering away at for now. But we have a host of other topics that we could talk about, and we'll see what we can come up with the next time for sure.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's a wrap.
Are we gonna call it that? All right. I guess I'll add a quick sign off. Thank you guys for whoever watches this. This is the first episode of the Average Everyday Plight, Problems and Politics of a 20-something heterosexual man in the Midwest. You are listening on 9/24/18. It is now 9:13 p.m. 9:14 p.m. Sorry, you just listened to an hour of two ignorant douchebags talk about what they think they know about the world. Tune in next time. Thank you.
Thank you.